The Fort Garry Hotel, from Alyssa. Growing up, I remember reading stories of the Fort Garry Hotel in Winnipeg. I loved these stories because the Fort Garry was something I could physically see. My family regularly went to Winnipeg, and I always wanted to stay there, but we were never able to afford it. Fast forward to adulthood, and I make pretty decent money. I've also discovered a passion for early 20th century architecture. When I can, I make a note to stay at the most historic hotels possible. When my mom and I planned a trip to Winnipeg, I seized my chance and booked a stay at the Fort Garry. The potential paranormal aspect was definitely a plus, but I was super excited to stay at such a historic location that has specifically kept its old charm. When we pulled up to check in, there was a city ghost tour happening outside the hotel. So while waiting for my mom, I quickly Googled the haunting connected with the hotel. Now, when I was growing up, I read that the hotel would not disclose the room numbers said to carry these experiences, but my Google results brought me to multiple articles all claiming room 202. My skeptic senses went off because of that whole, if they can make money off it, I get a little skeptical thing. But it didn't ruin the experience. I was still getting to stay in a gorgeous location. Our room, 811, definitely did not disappoint. If you took the time, you could definitely picture what the room would have looked like in its original state. They kept it pretty well untouched. I loved it. Now the weird part. My mom and I settled into bed. She quickly fell asleep, and I decided to read a bit. What I didn't foresee is my mom is a lovely person, but she could put a chainsaw to shame and then some. I wasn't going to be falling asleep easily. Eventually, I got tired enough to try to sleep, and I rolled onto my side with my back facing her. We had 2 queen beds set up in the classic hotel style with a space between them. As I lay there, I was starting to feel tired, but was still wide awake. All of a sudden, I felt something hit my bed, so hard it actually pushed over the top mattress a bit. I had felt the crease in the middle right behind my back as the mattress shook. Imagine if someone kicked or pushed a mattress, how it would give a little around your hands before the thing actually moved. That's what I felt. I was about to turn around and check on her when I realized she was still snoring. I laid there trying to rationalize what had just happened. I've been in beds that shook from earthquakes before, but this was way different. It was way too aggressive. Enough to move me, and like I said, I felt the crease form behind me. I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of stayed where I was and eventually fell asleep. The next morning I woke up and really regretted not turning around. Would I have seen anything? I still don't know what to think. I tend to rationalize a lot of things, but it was just too aggressive, and I wasn't tired enough to have hallucinated. And Paul, I had a look. Remember on the last episode we were talking about the Grand Hotels. I think on the Toronto episode we were talking about this. And so the Fort Garry is another one of these really grand Canadian Railroad hotels. It looks like quite the place. Apparently back in the day, the director Charles Laughton stayed there.
Legend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I only really knew him from the film Night of the Hunter, which is a classic. But he's a legend of the stage as well.
Yeah. Yorkshireman?
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he was born in Scarborough. And obviously married to one of my favourite actresses of all time, of the early part of the 20th century, the incredible Elsa Lanchester. They were one of the original Hollywood super couples.
I'll be damned.
They were together 33 years until Lawton died.
It's got to be some kind of record for the entertainment industry.
Especially in that period.
Yeah, no kidding. A while back I read the book Tinseltown, which is about the murder of a director in 1920s Hollywood, I believe it was. And people be fucking back then. It was a real... We talk about debauchery now like it's something we just invented. But folks, going to spoil it for you. Not true.
Yes, you only have to unpeel the seedy true story of what happened to Fatty Arbuckle to see what was going on.
Yeah. Let's not dwell on that. Let's go back to Alyssa's story.
Yes, let's.
I looked up some reviews of the hotel. Like Alyssa says, when places are famously haunted, sometimes you think, is this legit? Is it bullshit? If they're not selling ghost tours, then I'm a little more inclined to believe them. You know, if they push that experience, then I'm less inclined. But I did find these reviews. Obviously, a lot of people go there looking for ghosts. And in the course of looking up reviews, I found a couple I thought I'd share. So there was one says, went home for a funeral and chose to stay here. Love the bar, love the beautiful architecture, love the historic aspect. I heard there was a ghost. She didn't visit me. All good. Did not love listening to the man next door snorting, peeing, hacking. I got to tell you, man, if I'm paying, because that looks like a not cheap hotel. If I'm paying you several $100s a night for a hotel, I expect to get in there. I want it to be like the vastness of space. Nick won a free stay at this place outside of Victoria called Villa Airy. It's sort of a new hotel up on the highway. So we went up there for the night. And laying in bed with my lovely wife all snuggled up against me, what do I hear? A man peeing with all the force of a struck fire hydrant. On the subject of the bed-shoving ghost, though, Paul, what do you think about that one?
There does seem to be a thing about a lot of ghosts who turn up in accommodation and hotels and bed and breakfast places where they always seem sort of centred around the bed. They're either moving it, pulling your pillows, taking the covers off, pushing it about a bit, shaking it. It seems to be a real thing with ghosts staying in hotels, that they seem very unhappy about the bed.
In fairness, most of the hotels I've stayed in, I also have a problem with the bed.
Well, the one I stopped in Edinburgh, when Julie woke up on the Saturday morning, she thought my head had been eaten by a marshmallow because the pillow had just enveloped me. And it was just my nose sticking out. And I was like,
I remember we stayed at one place, a friend and I, back when I first moved to the island. We went up to Port Hardy, which is at the northern tip, about 6 hours drive. We ended up staying in this motel. It was one of the last places to stay because it was a night where the ferry was running, so there's just tons of people there. And it was such a dump that my friend actually woke up in terrible pain that he did not have when he went to sleep. Because I don't know what the bed did exactly, whether it just somehow, snapped his neck like Steven Seagal in the night or what. But he was it just completely screwed up his shoulders. He was in agony the entire drive back, and we never figured out why. There was just something deeply uncomfortable. Maybe the mattress was stuffed with rocks or asbestos. I don't know. We should have known we were in trouble when we were at the only pub, and there was an advertisement on the bulletin board for someone offering a full cougar pelt with skull. They had "with skull" in brackets.